So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Demetra K Show, where it must be Sunday, because that's where we are every Sunday, 5 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, and, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're on Mars, you do the adjustment. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to give everybody a moment to get in and get settled. And we are going to be talking about Malcolm X 56 years later. Of course, we're going to have a well-rounded discussion about Malcolm and the things that he wanted for us as Black people. And we're also going to be talking about solutions. Marcus actually inboxed me, and we had a conversation the other day, and he says, how about we start talking about solutions on how to fix our situation. Although we do talk about solutions a lot, I agree that we would try to get into a little bit more detail. So in honor of Malcolm X, today being the 56th anniversary of his death, we want to talk about some solutions and some of the things that he was talking about so many years ago when he was trying to impress upon his people to do for self. And so I also want to thank Donovan for sitting here as co-host, as he does every Sunday, adding his knowledge, wisdom, and everything in between, and his hijinks even. Also like to thank Marcus Guyton for everything that he does behind the scenes and making the show go further. And a giant thank you to YouTube and Facebook for being the other side of the conversation. So, Donovan, what say you?
Hey, you're absolutely right, you guys. Welcome to the Demetra K Show. Glad to have you guys here. There's a whole lot of things you guys could be doing other than watching this show, but thank you for supporting the new Black media. You guys got to remember there is a difference. There's the old Black media that hasn't done shit in 60, 70, 80, maybe 100 years. Now you got the new Black media that is putting stuff down and getting conversations going, because that's the problem. We are trying to get something done and get people thinking instead of doing the same old, and just, increasing that knowledge. So thank you guys for tuning in with us. And don't forget to check out Demetra K on the African Diaspora News channel on YouTube for more insightful commentary.
Were you waiting for me?
Yeah.
I'll keep talking now, because I was actually listening to the feedback. Okay. Sorry. I'm like,
well, since we're talking like that, okay, great. Well, in the news right now, a big question has come up. I don't know if you guys saw it on Demetra's page or my page, where they are talking that the reparations study might get a vote and might possibly pass the House. Now, getting to the Senate is another thing, but that doesn't mean you're going to get reparations. Do you see how they keep wrapping this thing up? It's an approval of the government to study. So once again, they're throwing you, the Democratic Party's throwing you a curveball by telling you they're going to do something for you, and they're really not. And that's on all levels. Even here in California, what they said was a reparations bill is another study that will take so many years. Hopefully a lot of y'all will die off, and then, they'll keep spinning it and spinning it and spinning again. Also in the news is that they're talking about Joe Biden says he needs to take that $15 an hour, raise on the minimum wage. He needs to take that out of the bill because, his Republican homies might not go for it and might hold up the bill. However, what he's not telling you is there's two senators holding up the bill, Joe Manchin and that female out in Arizona that just got elected. So two Democrats. But no, y'all don't know nothing about politics. Donovan, you don't know shit about politics because you need a majority. You got to get a coalition and you got to be in the majority to pass anything. Really? Two people are holding up a bill for a whole nation. Two, Joe Manchin doesn't want $15 an hour for obviously the state that he represents, West Virginia, and this chick in Arizona don't want $15 an hour. But you have all of these things that the Democratic Party has to put in place, and yet they're making excuses why it can't be done. Again, those $1,400 stimulus checks immediately, there's a new definition for immediately. So you guys buckle up. There's more to come.
All right. So again, welcome everybody. And if you can do us a favor, please share this live so that everybody else can get the information and join in on the conversation. But before we get started, I want to talk to you guys about something really quick. A toothpaste, Black-owned toothpaste. We all brush our teeth, right? I said our teeth. Our teeth. We all brush our teeth. At least I hope we do. And so especially us as Black people, we always want to practice group economics by purchasing from our own. And so this particular brand here, Prodent Max, is a Black-owned toothpaste. I actually have been using it for about a month now, and it is an awesome product. I am one that likes to use natural products inside and out, whether it's on my hair, my skin, deodorant, everything in between, including my toothpaste. I have been using some charcoal toothpaste. I forget the name of it. I get it from Walmart. But I had an opportunity to try this Prodent Max, again, by a Black-owned company, and I absolutely love it. I love it for a few reasons. For one, because you don't need that much. It actually, when you squeeze it out just enough for you to use, because a lot of times we use too much toothpaste and ends up in the sink and all this other stuff. And so this tube will actually go a very long way. Also, it is all natural ingredients and products and all that. It is made with herbs. Again, being all natural, we know that a lot of other toothpaste brands have a lot of fluoride and chemicals, and anything that you put in your mouth, it absorbs to your body. And so whatever chemicals may be in your toothpaste, you are absorbing those things in your body. So you will want to switch to a natural toothpaste, and you might as well switch to this one because it is, again, all natural. And most importantly, it is Black-owned. Let's circulate our Black dollars by practicing group economics. And so if you're interested in the toothpaste, I have pinned the link on Facebook and on YouTube. It is in the description part of the video. So you guys, you looking for some toothpaste, go ahead and click the link and order some. All right. That's what I have for that. So let's get into why we are all here. And I'm going to get to every last one of you guys' comments. So today makes the 56th year of Malcolm X's assassination there in the Abaddon in New York. He was going to give a speech, and you guys know the story. Well, I want to say that loosely, because a lot of people think they know the story, and they only really know the story of Hollywood, right? And so they've gone off of Hollywood, and they've drawn all these false narratives because of what Hollywood has told them about the death of Malcolm X. But it's not surprising, but I guess it's a revelation. We'll put it that way. Yesterday, a man by the name of Reggie Woods, who is the cousin of Ray Woods. Ray Woods was an FBI informant in the 1960s. He was commissioned by the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover. You guys know the story about that. If not, go look it up. He was commissioned, and he had absolutely no experience when he was drawn into the FBI. His purpose was to infiltrate Black groups, one of them being the NOI and the Black Liberation Movement. And two of the most prominent people that he helped set up and get rid of, one was Tupac Shakur's mom, Afeni Shakur. He was instrumental in her being falsely locked up to where she gave birth to Tupac Shakur, and he was instrumental in the assassination of Malcolm X. It was his job. Now, again, his cousin, Reggie Woods, said that his cousin, the informant, had been estranged from the family for almost 50 years. And then he came back around when he was ailing, getting ready to die. He was diagnosed with cancer. And he says that there's something I want to tell you. So what he did basically was give a deathbed confession in 2010 when he thought he was going to die. And he told him that he was the agent that set up the brothers that were accused of murdering Malcolm X. And so at the time, he thought he was going to die, but he actually ended up going into remission and lived until November of 2020. And here we are now, as of yesterday. Reggie Woods holds up the letter that his cousin wrote, and he also fashioned a book to kind of detail the events and, more vividly, I guess you can say. And he said that his cousin told him to wait until after his death, which is why it took an additional 10 years or so for the story to come out. And so he says that his cousin set up the brothers and also framed his being Malcolm X's normal security detail so that on the day of the assassination, they would not be there. And so he also says after the assassination took place, he was spotted by a few people. Now, you guys remember, if you did some research and heard some stories about the guy, the FBI informant, or the other guy, the police agent or whoever was there, but they never knew what happened to him. Well, that was him. And he says that he was spotted, and they, being, other FBI agents, helped him get away. And he was afraid for his life after that, of course, knowing all of the stuff he knew, him being an agent and helping set up Black organizations and their leaders. So, he was in fear for the most of his life. And I guess that's kind of why he stayed away from his family. But, as of a lot of deathbed confessions, the guilt was eating him alive, and, he felt terrible and all that other stuff. So he said in the letter. And so he thought he did not want to take what he had done to so many organizations to his grave. Now, we also know that this is not unusual, that in most of the Black organizations, Marcus Garvey, of course, NOI, with that of Malcolm X, there's always been a Black agent. Of course, we saw the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, or Judas and the Black Messiah, where Chairman Fred Hampton was set up by, a Black infiltrant, if you will. He was also working for the FBI. So nothing is new there. And so this is huge. I say this is huge, this revelation, because, of course, many people were, pointing the finger at the Farrakhan and the FOI, saying they did it and this, that, and the other. Of course, they ran off believing the Netflix movie and this, white version of, Hollywood's version of the movie and this, that, and the other, but never believing Black people themselves. And so here it is, this revelation. And, of course, reporters that were at this press conference, and Malcolm X's daughters were there as well. So at this press conference, someone asked, well, how do you know he's telling the truth? And so they backed it up, basically saying, who he knew and, his name that he used, and just, several pieces of information that, kind of validated what Mr. Ray Woods was saying. And so we're going to see exactly what's going to happen from this. But of course, there's still some naysayers out there saying, oh, no, it's not true. Netflix said. And I asked this one guy, I says, well, Netflix said that. I said, Netflix is a Hollywood machine. You know that, right? And he kept on trying to go on and on. And he says, well, I also heard rumors that, the NOI has something to do with it. I said, rumors, huh? You listening to rumors? I said, you also know that Hollywood is the same people who told you that Cleopatra was white, right? So, you have the naysayers who are going to hold on to their ignorance anyway. And so that leads me to the grander scheme of things. Of course, we can have this conversation a little bit further if you want. We want to talk about some solutions. And so we know that Malcolm X was a part of the Nation of Islam. He was this, national spokesman, if you will. He was there at the Temple 7 in Harlem, New York. He was a minister there. And you guys know that he was very instrumental in getting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's message out. And of course, that was message to the Black man in America, touting that. And so within this book, there are several solutions as to what we as Black people should be doing in order to bring ourselves from where we are. And it's so sad because 56 years later, if you guys listen to anything that Malcolm X said back then, it applies to the T today. Like we have made zero strides to any of the things that he was asking us to do. And so you have these, and I'm almost done here. I'll give it to Donovan, and then we'll get to the comments. But you have these same naysayers, right? Oh, Malcolm X was killed by this person, and Malcolm X, but they can't tell you really anything that he stood for, and they surely do not do any of the things that he stood for. All they can tell you is something that Hollywood told them, but they don't walk Malcolm. They only low-key talk Malcolm. They only do the talking points. What Hollywood told them about Malcolm X. And what's really funny too is TNT was playing Spike Lee's version of Malcolm X today. And I was telling Al, I said, what's so funny and crazy all at the same time? I said, 56 years ago, Malcolm wasn't a hero. He was one of the most hated men in America. They called him a hate monger, and he was, filled with hate speech, and he hated white people. And now TNT, you guys know, is a white TV station. Now they're celebrating him on the day he was gone. And so it's just crazy. It is crazy, but it's not surprising. And so we're going to get into some solutions. And as I said, this is the book, The Message to the Black Man in America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that Malcolm X followed. And so we are going to actually start this week with some of the things. The economic plan is economic program 1 and 2, some of the things that he talked about. So Donovan, what say you?
Damn, I noticed you have a highlighter in there, like a Bible. Go ahead, girl.
I be reading.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the fact that 50, 60 years ago, and how they changed the narrative on Malcolm. But all you civil rights era people, don't pat yourself on the back, because it wasn't you that was teaching the next generation, my generation, and your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, about Malcolm X. You wanted us to talk about follow Dr. King, be patient, and all this other stuff. Because when Spike Lee, he's kind of our generation, but not, he's kind of right on that border. When he wanted to do his movie, there were so many of you civil rights icons that were not in support of doing that. One of them that was in support was Bill Cosby. He had to shuffle this money up just to make that movie, and he watered the movie down, basically. But these civil rights icons, these civil rights era people, y'all didn't talk about Malcolm. Y'all didn't want Malcolm mentioned. And if you don't believe me, one of the best speeches eulogies I have ever heard was by the actor Ossie Davis, who did the eulogy of Malcolm X. And he basically said what Dimitri basically paraphrased was, did you ever know Malcolm to be violent or take part in any kind of violent things? But this is the narrative they put on him. He's violent. He's this. Read that eulogy. This man broke it down straight of how we should view Malcolm and what he wanted to do for his people. He gave his life so that his people could be free to do what it is they need to do or what they want to do as a people. But the civil rights era people, you guys dogged this man, you just maligned him and stuff. And it took the next generation, our generation, to start talking about Malcolm X. That's where we kind of commercialized it too, but still, it doesn't matter. The Malcolm X hats, the shirts, just the study of it. And even in our music, the rap music, Public Enemy, Malcolm X based, Panther based, BDP, all of this stuff incorporated the things that Malcolm talked about that the civil rights era people never talked about, and they didn't want to talk about it because they were getting their butter biscuits from the man that's going on there. And I want to talk about real quick, they did a documentary. If you guys haven't listened to The Black Authority on YouTube, I would strongly recommend you guys listen to or go check The Black Authority out, because he was talking about the movie The Messiah,
Judas and the Black Messiah.
The Judas and the Black Messiah. And he was basically calling out the, how that thing went down and what people weren't doing and stuff. And, and it makes total sense of how I said this over a couple of months ago. I called you, I think over a year ago, I called them Generation Fail. And he was saying the exact same thing that I was saying over a year ago. Here are these people who keep telling you to be patient, take your time. Oh, we got to do this. Oh, don't worry about the white man. We're going to do a study. Why? Why should we do a study? Why is it that a Mexican can come over here and they don't have to worry about their voting rights being voted on every 25 years? Why is it just us? But these civil rights bootlicks are the first to tell us how to fight a battle that they never wanted to fight.
No, absolutely. And so I'm going to get to you guys' comments before we continue on here. And if you guys have anything else you want to talk about, please do throw it in the comment section, and we would love to do that. And so, hello, Harper. How are you? And you say, let's get it. Yes, indeed. Tonight, what's going on? He says, good evening, Dimitri and Donovan. And if you guys are in the watch parties and you want us to read your comments, click on the link. Come on over here, and we would love to do so. Hey, Chocolate Girl, how are you? And Jeffrey says,
I like chocolate.
Jeffrey said, where is this sold? You can click on the link. I pinned it into Facebook, and it's in the description box on YouTube. If you guys are interested in the Black-owned toothpaste, Product Max, it's very good, and it's also whitening. I forgot to say that it does whiten your teeth. White teeth are important, right? Better than yellow. Hey, Frank, what's going on? You say much love. And Stacy, what up? And Donovan says, it's been about a year since Breonna Taylor was murdered in her home while asleep. We have unfinished business. Yes, we do. And you also say support new Black media. Absolutely. Where you are getting information you wouldn't ordinarily get. Donovan, I'm not freezing up, am I? Okay, I just saw this weird. It was weird. Like some thing came up across my screen. It was weird. And hey, Kevin, what's going on? He says, I am one of the products of Malcolm X and his spirit. I turned 67 on the 19th, so I was only 11 at the time. I am so thankful for the strength and faith that made Malcolm X one of my heroes. I didn't understand Malcolm X until I was in my early 30s. I will continue to believe in God and uplifting of the Africans born in America as one and the same. May Allah bless him for the good deeds of his life and forgive him his bad ones. Absolutely. I don't know what this thing is. What is this? Something is popping up on the screen. It was kind of weird. Never seen it before. Am I being spied on? No.
Yeah, I think it's the FBI or somebody. But hey, do what you got to do.
Then Donovan also says, notice the civil rights era folks do not talk about Malcolm X. Why? It took generations after him to talk about him and the Panthers and the like. The militancy was picked up by Public Enemy and BDP, etc. Absolutely. Hey, Claude, what's going on? It says, watching from Dallas, Texas. And how are you in Dallas? You know, we in Texas went through some things last week. Has everything improved? You got your lights and your water and everything. They just lifted our boil water notice, so we're able to drink the water, but I'm gonna wait. And let's see here. Jerome, Black First, what's going on with you? And Miss K, number one, hey, says, nope, I had one person to talk about Malcolm, and it was a high school history teacher that spoke on Malcolm. Yeah, I can't ever recall any of my teachers, any of my high school or junior high or anything like that talking about Malcolm at all. Never once. If I did hear anything about Malcolm when I was growing up, besides, my parents, I obviously I've heard about him. But outside of that, it was that Malcolm was bad. He was a hate monger and violent. That's what I heard, outside of that. And Eric, what's going on with you? It says, to be I think he maybe meant FBA and then B1 Black First. Absolutely. How you doing? And Miss K says, TBA is the truth. Oh, the Black Authority. I'm going to catch up. Yes, the Black Authority. I listen to him every once in a while. And Miss John A. Guyton, how are you? You say, it's all a setup. They made him look bad, so we as black race wouldn't like him. So they paint the picture of an angry, violent man. Malcolm was an alarm clock to wake us up. If the generation before us kept pushing the snooze button, and yet the most of us still snoozing or completely comatose. Yeah, and like I said, we think that we're still stuck back in the 1960s, still, pretty much in the same place. The only thing I would say about them in the 1960s is they had a little bit more heart than we did. We have completely just been rocked to sleep with the false idea of civil rights. And another thing I want to say too, during that press conference, and I feel remiss in saying that it was Benjamin Crump actually who brought forth the press conference because he was reached by that of Reggie Woods. And they had a press conference, to talk about the revelations of Malcolm's murder. But I think Benjamin Crump misspoke by correlating Malcolm X to the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, I think we could agree that Malcolm X would absolutely think that Black Lives Matter, But to try to equate him to the Black Lives Matter movement was kind of, it's like, what the hell, man? And then he also said that Malcolm X was a civil rights leader. We know that was not true. He was a human rights leader. He was for human rights. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, how can you have civil rights without human rights? You need to be thought of as a human first before you can be granted civil rights. And so I just thought that was odd. But, of course, he's not going to bring something forth like that and not complete, not water it down a little bit.
But notice that these black bootleg civil rights era Negroes keep saying that our plight is civil rights. As long as they keep saying that, it's in the jurisdiction of the United States. Nobody else can talk about it. It's a domestic issue. But the first thing that comes out of their mouth, civil rights, the civil rights. No, this ain't a civil rights problem, because if it was a civil rights problem, it isn't a question of us loving white people. It's white people loving us and accepting us as equal to them. But civil rights. So then our African brothers and sisters can't come to our aid. Nobody could come to our aid because it's a domestic issue.
Right. And so, Kevin, you also say the white Americans are not remembering that we Africans born in America are not ignorant of the Judas that you have been. Judas repented and then repented and then hung himself. Absolutely. And that's true. I would say in most situations where there was a Judas per se that took out some of our Black organizations, they all had this buyer's remorse, if you will. And in some cases, they killed himself, which is in the case with Fred Hampton, William O'Neill, he killed himself. So they say, but then there's some other conspiracy theories that the FBI was covering up his murder. He may still be alive and, all that other stuff. But nevertheless, we know from what we know, he killed himself and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's
the first thing that you do in an assassination attempt, if you're going to do an assassination attempt, you know anything about warfare, is you kill the assassins. That's how you do it. You got to get rid of the assassin. So yeah, if he killed himself, whatever, that's all part of the plan when you do that. And I'm going to tell you guys, check out the Black Authority, because he talked about Judas and the Messiah and why they actually really wanted to kill Fred Hampton. Remember, Fred Hampton was 21 years old when he was murdered. Just think, if that man had lived till right now, that's almost 50 years of waking Black people up. J. Edgar Hoover wasn't going to have that. He wasn't going to have that.
Right. And Donovan says, baby boomers and civil rights era folks are still telling us to be patient and do what they did. Hell no, we need to move the ball forward and not drop it. Absolutely. Yeah, they got what they wanted, and that was, as Donovan says, seasonless soup, and to be able to live next to the oppressor. And, that was cool for them, but that's not cool for us. And so, Jerome, you say Malcolm X talked about Joe Biden before he got in the White House. Absolutely. Yes, he did. Calling him, likening him to what he is a lying liberal, and said they are the worst because they lie to us and we believe it. We know who the conservative is and what they're about, but it's the liberals, as he would say, that continuously lie to us, meaning us absolutely no good. And we are still seeing that unfold right as we speak with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And Jeffrey said Fred Hampton Jr. mom said that wasn't him in a casket. Yeah, so there are those conspiracy theories that the FBI made it look like he killed himself so he can go into, I guess, the witness protection program or, something like that, because, it was dangerous out in the streets, especially after he did the interview where he admitted to doing it. So I guess he's probably, from what they're saying, they put him in a witness protection program. So anything's possible. I don't doubt it. FBI is a large and a deep-rooted entity. That's one of their main jobs has been to stop Black unity and Black progression. And so far, they have been extremely successful. And so I want to get into, I don't see any more of you guys' comments, but I want to get into a little bit of some solutions here. So I'm going to read a few excerpts of what Malcolm said. And this is really in opposition, not opposition, but as like a rebuttal to that of Martin Luther King's stance of, peaceful and nonviolent and all that other stuff, trying to integrate into a system that did not and still does not want Black people to be amongst them, right? And so he says, you can't talk about solving the economic problem of the Negro without talking about billions of dollars. We are treading in difficult waters, because it really means that we are saying that something is wrong with capitalism. There must be a better distribution of wealth, and maybe America must move toward democratic socialism. Okay. And so he also went on to say, and I'm just reading it in spurts here. He says, I don't think having an opportunity to ride either at the front or the back or the middle of someone else's bus does not dignify you. When you have your own bus, then you have dignity. When you have your own school, you have dignity. When you have your own country, you have dignity. When you have something of your own, you have dignity. But whenever you are begging for a chance to participate in that which belongs to someone else, or use that which belongs to someone else on an equal basis with the owner, that's not dignity, that's ignorance. And then lastly, he said, instead of Negro leaders having the Black man begging for a chance to dine in white restaurants, the Negro leaders should be showing the Black man to do something to strengthen his own economy, to give himself an independent economy, or to provide job opportunities for himself, not begging for a cup of coffee in a white man's restaurant. And so again, that was in response to Martin Luther King's stance on integration, basically, with the civil rights, the equal rights, being amongst them, being able to live next door, being able to eat, and all of that with white people. And of course, you guys heard what I said. Malcolm was like, no, we need to have our own stuff. And again, that was, the ideology of the message to the Black man in America. And Kevin says, that man, as you say, was indeed a man. He spoke the truth, even when he said Black capitalism is not an equalizer to white capitalism. He taught people to look to solving problems of society by not going along with the society. We still need to remember not to accept what they offer, but rather demand the things that bring balance. Absolutely. Because as he said, if it's, you're asking the white man to give it to you, he's still in control, opposed to you having your own stuff that would help create balance. Because see, especially when we have an economy that we are in control of, then that helps bring balance. And he also said, you don't see or hear the Asians, or Donovan has his book, or anybody else begging for equality. It is only us, that's begging for equality to be seen as equal. But we haven't really done the work or amassed anything that would give us strength or power to even receive any of those things.
And what is the reason why, our plight is not being heard? The Asians are being heard. When was the last time you heard of an Asian being murdered in the street on national TV, or being murdered in their homes? Because they have the economic power. Like I've been saying in all these shows, money rules the world. It makes things happen. Because they have an economic base, they can control and buy the politicians in a capitalistic system to put legislation forward that's going to benefit them. They are less in population than we are, but yet their issues are being addressed, issues that I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I haven't seen it compared to us. But yet we see Black people being murdered in the streets, in our homes while we're eating cornflakes, systematic racism all over the damn place that they've even admitted. And we can't get a bill through because 2 senators are holding it up, or it's a study. It's, we've got to play the game as it's to be played. We need our own banks. We need our own companies. And again, I'm not downing the civil rights era people. I know a lot of the civil rights people, they take offense. You fought your battle, but the fact of the matter is this: nobody benefited from the civil rights era more so than the people who fought it. Good for you guys. You got yours. Let us get ours. And we're going to do it a different way, because 60 years fast forward, things aren't looking any better than when it was 60 years ago.
Right. And so, just kind of taking, some notes from the Message to the Black Man in America. Under a sound economic plan, part 1 says our economic position remains at the bottom of the ladder because of this ineffective leadership and because so many of our people ignore the basic rules of a healthy economic life. We fail to develop self-leadership in economics. And so, plainly put, we are not educated in regards to what is a sound economic plan. Like, how do we get from the bottom, right? And so, number 1 says our knowledge of self, others, and the times should force us to become more prudent in our spending, unnecessary spending, by trying to keep pace with the wealthy of this country has done more to put us on the path of the prodigal son than anything else. Let us be taught how to spend and how to save, those of us who desire to see our way out of poverty. So basically saying that we need to learn how to save. And then we see this even nowadays where our people are more, and we are the number 1 consumers, especially in America. It's a fact. We are consumers and we produce nothing, which means that we buy, spend every dime we have pretty much with everybody else, whether it's on designer clothing, it's, going out, alcohol, party, whatever. We frivolously and irresponsibly spend money. It is said that we have about $1.3 trillion in our community, and we give about 97% of that away to everybody else. If you look in as Dr. Claude Anderson says, our neighborhood says we don't have communities because communities are fully functional. They have everything it needs in it. As it is now, we as Black people, we don't have, like I say, how Black Wall Street was set up, where they had hospitals, schools, and stores, and everything they needed, right? So we as Black people, if we want to buy something from Black people, we sometimes have to travel a distance. As it is now, we have to order offline, like this Prodent Max toothpaste. I have the link if you guys are interested in purchasing it. It's a Black-owned toothpaste company. So that's not, we live in Black neighborhoods, if you will, not communities that are fully functional where we have everything we need, like the Asians or the Hispanics or the Arabs, the Indians. They live in communities where they have everything they need, hospitals, banks, even. And we don't have those. If you want a Black bank, if you don't live next to it, because we don't have very many Black banks left in America, you have to do it online, right? Which is okay. You're still banking Black, but you have to do it online, opposed to being able to walk out into your own neighborhood and drive, up the street or catch a bus or walk to the bank. We don't have those things, but more importantly, we have to get in a habit of saving our money and not spending it with everybody else, just to try to keep up, as he said, with the wealthy, keeping up with the Joneses, just to try to look important or whatever, instead of having that money in the bank.
Yeah, we're on the solution tip right now. So, and I'm glad, we're going to be doing that. So one of the solutions is this book, Message to the Black Man. I got a copy, Demetra got a copy, and it basically tells you everything you would need to get the Black person out of the situation that we're in so that we could be a prosperous and better people. And one of the things on, it's almost like a Bible. Demetra, if you could turn to 220, section 3, page 220 says, land of our own and qualifications, the unity of 22 million Black people. Now that was 22, we're about 46 million now. But again, it tells you if we're not unified, it ain't gonna work. Anything in this book, if we don't unify, will not work. Okay, we have to unify first and keep our dollars and come together as a people. And to me, this is the solution. So when everybody jumps on me, or tells me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, what's your Black plan? What's your Black, program, whatever? I always tell them this is it. And then I show them this. What do the civil rights era people do? Oh, no, them Black Muslims. Oh, no, that's Malcolm X stuff. They don't want to hear it. But the thing is, we've tried everything else. Why not try this? This is a solution. Why not?
Right. And, and if you don't want to believe in, the message of the black man in America, but what about Marcus Garvey? It's all one and the same. I mean, it really is. The Nation of Islam, got a lot of its blueprint from that of Marcus Garvey. They both tout that of up you mighty nation, accomplish what you will, right? That mighty nation being Black people. And again, if you guys are in the watch parties and you want us to read your comment, come on, click on the link, come on the site, and I'll be more than happy to do that. And Kevin says, as for me, I say that that the tool of boycotting needs to be brought back to life, and Africans born in America should boycott en masse. Pick an entity, state, or politician, then every African born in America must commit to boycott them as though they are Russia. I bet boycotting and organizing economic unity groups, and that will change life for our people for the better. Yeah, so, boycott, I guess, yeah, we could boycott, but if, as Dr. Claude Anderson says, we are good at boycotting. We boycott ourselves. We boycott Black people. We have no problem. We boycott each other and our businesses in our sleep, right? But it is second nature to us to go spend our money with everybody else. But if you look at everybody else's community, it's second nature to spend money with themselves first. They would never think about giving their money to someone else outside of themselves. You guys know the story. In the Black community, the Black dollar circulates 6 hours, so they say. And, the Jewish community, 20 to 30 days. That's a huge difference in comparison to hours to, nearly a month. And so, as he said, we're good at boycotting. We just boycott ourselves. But yeah, sure. I wouldn't say not even looking at it as a boycott per se. Like, we shouldn't be spending our money with everybody else first. But how about we just make it a lifestyle to where we just shop and spend our money with each other first. We try to exhaust spending our dollars with each other first, and then go outside of it if we absolutely have to do it. Like, start making that a habit. But yes, absolutely. I agree with that. And Miss K1, you say, what I don't like is the fact that immigrants are put in position to speak for us when it was our ancestors was the ones enslaved in this country. Black people like Dr. Anderson to speak on reparations. Yeah, it should be him. But as you guys know, they had the hearing on HR 40 with Sheila Jackson Lee last week. And Herschel Walker, the ex-football player, the Dallas Cowboys, he and Larry Elders, you guys know Larry Elders is a Black man, a white man in a Black man's body. If anything Black, he's completely against it. You guys know Larry Elders. But they were selected, I don't know, by the Biden administration, Sheila Jackson Lee, somebody, to come speak on behalf of reparations. And of course, Herschel and Larry were like, we don't think Black people should get reparations, because how do we know who deserves it? Why are we going to make people who weren't there responsible for it? And so, as I said, Black people, we should try to connect the dots. If Joe Biden administration, Sheila Jackson Lee, and all of them were truly interested in Black people getting reparations and truly, truly, truly interested in learning what there is to know about reparations, since it is a study, they would impress upon somebody like Dr. Claude Anderson and other strong Black economists who know the situation, but they bring in a clown by the name of Herschel Walker. You guys know, he's a big time Trump supporter. And so he's going to be anti-Black everything. And so the fact that they chose Herschel Walker and Larry Elders to speak on behalf of Black people for reparations, and of course they spoke against it, is very, very telling. That should be an eye-opener for everybody.
And you got to think about this. Okay, so let's put it like this. We have a COVID pandemic going on. Why, by their study, why not bring in Herschel Walker to speak on the pandemic? Why not bring Jerry Seinfeld to speak on the pandemic? All these entertainers and stuff that, oh, well, yeah, it affected me and my wife died, or my family had it, I got sick, or whatever. No, if you want to study something, you bring the academics, the people who have a background in it. And I'm not saying Herschel's not educated or whatever, even though he left college early, but I don't know if he went back or not. But, but the point is, though, you bring certified academics to study things. So if this pandemic, you don't listen to Donald Trump, you don't listen to me, you listen to the scientists and the people who are actually experts in this field. But no, we get Herschel Walker, who, unlike the 46 million of us, has a specific skill set where he could take a football and run it 100 yards one way and then to the other goalpost and back, and they're going to pay him millions of dollars to do that. Not many of us have that skill set. So for him to say, we don't need reparations, well, brother, let's take away your skill set and see if you would still say that.
Right. So, obviously he should not be paid much attention to. He's a pawn. He's doing their job. And they know, unfortunately, they know Black people. They know all we need is an entertainer or somebody we, deem to be very highly esteemed, which is why they always roll out the celebrities to tell us to vote and do this, that, and the other. They know we'll fall for it. Oh, Herschel Walker, he's a big-time football player, so he must be right because they got him up there in Congress, and he must know what he's talking about. So they know we'll fall for that. They know we won't overall say, nah, we're good. And Malcolm X warned us of that. He says, why do you think that they bring out these celebrities? He says, you don't see any other race bringing out celebrities and actors and athletes to speak on their behalf. They always do that to us because they know we like to be entertained. If an entertainer says it, then we'll believe it. But, you have somebody like Dr. Claude Anderson or somebody like that. Most people don't even know who he is. They haven't had a clue who he is. And so they bring out people who they think we know or we're familiar with, to speak. But pay attention to that. Joe Biden brought out, and Sheila Jackson Lee and them, they brought out Herschel Walker to tell them that, and I'm like, when is the last time we even heard of Herschel Walker? Like, I haven't heard anything about Herschel Walker until he started hanging out with Trump again. I'm like, where does Herschel Walker come from? Like, why him? Of all people, are they bringing out to speak about reparations? Like, out of all the people you can dig out of the woodworks, you're going to bring out Herschel Walker?
Yeah, and the funny thing about them doing that is, if you guys have been keeping up with Herschel Walker, he has I wouldn't say bipolar, but he has some kind of mental issue. It might be bipolar or whatever. So why would you bring out somebody who has definitely a mental type situation? Not saying that he's not, a whole person, but I'm saying he has issues in dealing with who he is. No, split personality. That's what it was. He had split personalities.
Schizophrenia?
No, not schizophrenia. It's like he's this
bipolar
person. Yeah, it's like he said that growing up, and don't this is not a quote, but he said basically he had so much anger built up being a Black man in America.
Carmen said concussion.
Yeah, well, he had concussions being in football, but his personality, he said that he always wanted to be a killer. So he has like a mental depression or something going on with him. He has multiple personalities, and that came out of his mouth. So, but think about that. You bring this person to speak on an important topic and issue. Are they sure they were talking to Herschel Walker at the time?
Yeah, well, he's been consistent in the soft shoe sand dancing department. So yeah, I think they were talking to the right one. And you also say Miss K1, Dr. Anderson should be the one to speak on reparations. Absolutely, it shouldn't be him. He knows the ins and outs of politics. He's been in Washington, for a long time. Well, not now, but he used to be. So yeah, who better than him? He understands what we need and how to get there, and he knows the political system in and out. But no, they won't do that. Joe Biden and rather y'all talk to Cardi B. So, and Miss K1, you say big facts. And Kevin says, okay, reparation isn't some new invention. Slave owners were given reparations for the lost revenue from free labor. Chinese and Japanese Americans were given reparations, and automobile companies and Jewish people were given reparations. Reparations should be done, and the only study necessary is one, what is the wealth produced by X number of years of labor by X number of people, and compounded interest using the current model. What's to study? Oh, absolutely. And it is said that without interest, not including interest or inflation, that the price tag is about $15 trillion. So of course, if you add on inflation and interest and all of that, it's a lot more than that. But sure, they could and they should do it. They've given out trillions of dollars for everything else. You know, it's obviously, we know it's rooted in racism, that they do not want Black people to have it, because if they give us reparation, they know that wealth gap closes, and there goes their false idea of white supremacy. And, you know, as Elijah Muhammad says, the master is not going to make you equal to him. You know, you're begging the master to make you equal, because if he makes you equal, then there goes that master servant, master slave relationship. Then you are both considered, you know, a master. You're both equal. And so, yeah, run us our money. It can be done.
I mean, you know, has anybody ever looked and kind of watched Congress? Look at all the money that they just dole out. But Joe Biden is giving to our allies, I think it's like $4 billion just out of the blue. Here's $4 billion. You know, Donald Trump gave $2 trillion to the people who already had money. And we're sitting here going, could we please get a butter biscuit, please? Could we please? You know what I mean? It's like when people defend, oh, well, you can't give it to everybody. Look at all the money that they're just giving out, except when it comes to Black people. You can't give money. I mean, I'm not saying $4 billion is not money. It is. But you think $4 billion every year for the next 4 years of the Biden administration going into the school lunch programs specifically for Black, or a program specifically for Black, that could be significant in helping fix neighborhoods, you know, but we don't question that. All this money that gets doled out. And if they do something, it's on the everybody train. And then when we're on the everybody train, who benefits most? It's not us.
Right. And yeah, Carmen's saying bipolarism. Yeah, that sounds like probably what it is. It was news to me. I just thought, you know, it was remedial, to say the least. And then you also say his interview was a total embarrassment. Yeah, you know, and then he's reading and he's talking about what my mama said. Mama, you know, I asked my mama back in the day, and one day, and then she also said, how will they know who to pay? It was just like, come on, man, really? Seriously? Come on. And Miss K1, you say America has paid reparations to the Japanese. Yeah, and the Jewish. Everyone else has gotten their piece of the pie, but us.
And you know, the funny thing is, I was listening to the Black Authority and Professor Black Truth, and he brought out that he was talking to somebody in regards to, they were on the reparations thing for the Japanese in the 1980s, and the reason why they pushed the Japanese one there first before us was the fact that it set a precedent because it hadn't been done before. And so now, you know, what, the Japanese were interned for 4 years. And you're going to give them all this money, but yet they can't justify 100 years of, you know, slavery and 400 years of slavery, hundreds of years of discrimination and redlining and systematic racism. So now that they have that test out there, it's hard for the United States government to walk back. But he also said, this is why they keep doing a study, because as long as you keep studying it, you don't have to pay out significant amounts of money. We've got to stop with the study, because they didn't study the Japanese. They gave them the money. So, yeah. Yep.
And they know it's symbolism, and they know that we love symbolism. Black people love symbolism. We just love it. And Marcus says the only reason you bring out Herschel Walker is because he's entertaining, and in their forearm, he is still entertaining. He's non-threatening. He's non-threatening and a friend to do sitting in judgment. You don't want to bring that intelligence, because then you have to answer real questions, right? You know, and it also gives them, the oppressor, validation to say, well, it's almost like, not almost, it's exactly why they use Candace Owens and your Diamonds and Silks and your Larry Elders and, you know, all of those Jesse Lee Petersons, because they have, that's validation for them. Well, good, look, a Negro said it, so it must be true. That's why you hear them say, oh, we just love Candace Owens. Oh, Candace Owens tells it like it is. Because what she does is she validates what they already believe. And so they attach that blackface, Herschel Walker, and him saying, well, Black people don't deserve, you know, reparation. But it's like, Herschel, you got a lot of dollars in the bank. So maybe you don't need it, but you don't get to speak for Black people. Who said that you get to do that? Especially now, you're not speaking for Black people, you're speaking against Black people.
Yeah, it's like when we did the show Free Flow Friday, by the way, we do Free Flow Friday, and somebody brought up the fact that, you know, and you hear this in the Black community. Well, you know, you can't give us reparations because we just wasted. And Demetra went in there and explained to him, you can't tell somebody what they should do with their money. It doesn't matter. Like right now, you guys are waiting on a stimulus, right? So if I told you, oh, no, you can't pay your bills and do what you want to do with it. No, you don't want the government telling you got to take that stimulus and put it in the library, the community library. You don't want, yes, are a lot of us are going to waste our money? Absolutely. But we don't have the right to tell somebody what they can do with their money. But as long as Negroes have that thought pattern, that justifies white people saying, see, your own people, they're saying y'all shouldn't do it. And if we didn't, even if we did do it, you'd be in the same exact position again. So we're doing you a favor. Yep,
absolutely. And hey, Sharon, you say, who is Herschel Walker to talk about what Black people should receive? I agree with you. You know, who is he? But of course, anytime some Black people are willing to be pawns and speak against the other Black people, then of course they're going to use them. Yeah, come on down, boy. Come on and tell the good people why your people shouldn't get reparations. And, you know, he was more than happy to do it. You know, I was like, this cat.
Well, you know, here's another thing I want you guys to think about. Just think about this. You have civil rights icons that sat in Congress for years. You got Bobby, is his name Rush or Seal?
Rush.
Yeah. He's been in Congress since 1993, a Panther, a former Panther. You got John Lewis, civil rights icon. They don't speak on reparations. They don't speak and they don't do anything for Black people, period. And yet we hold these people up. You know, they're part of the problem. Okay, if you're in a position of power, civil rights era people, we need Black people in positions of power. Okay, we have a few. But what good is that if they're not going to do anything for us? Because if I was a congressman and there's reparations on the thing and I'm a former Black Panther, shouldn't I be raising hell up in Congress?
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin says nobody. And Sharon says Congress will give money to anyone except us. Yeah, because we lack the unity and and the will to get it done. If that makes any sense. But as soon as we get on the same page, then they'll start saying, "Okay, let's move past the study. We've studied enough." You know, and like I said, who's to say their study is going to net in a positive result for us? Who's to say they're going to say, well, after studying it, we decided that Black people really should get reparations? Who's to say they won't come back and say, well, you know what? We've studied and we just can't justify the numbers. We just can't make it make sense. Therefore, we're saying that there is no need to give reparations. You know, so you got to read between the lines and go all the way underneath what they're really trying to say to you. And Miss K1 says, people love to say people should not pay for the sins of their fathers, but last I checked, we are paying reparations to others, all because they want to continue to see foundational Black Americans down. Yep, they don't want to close that wealth gap and give us an economic fighting chance, but it's not something really they're giving us like a handout, as some people would say, that like Herschel would say, a handout. It's owed to us. We're the only group of people, you know, in this country that has been brutalized and tortured and mass incarcerated and Jim Crowed and everything
else. Still happening in real time.
Right. And everything else you can think of, and not been paid for what was done to us. You know, just take it just something as simple, not simple, but as free labor, the free labor that they stole from our ancestors via slavery. So, you know, that's exactly what it is.
You know, and you're going to have these people that are going to say, well, Joe Biden, exact quote, I'll be damned if I have to pay for reparations for something that my parents or my grandfather did, my great-grandfather. That's his exact quote. But what happens when you die, your loved one dies? Do you automatically get the money and the insurance and stuff? No, their estate automatically goes into probate and the creditors are paid first. Whatever's left is what you get. So if anybody comes to you and says that bullshit, here's all you need to say. We've been Black people, ADOS Black people, foundational Black people have been in probate since 1865, and we want our money. Period.
Yep. And Marcus said one solution would be group investments that gives us massive ownership in companies. We can treat it like they treat the collection plate at church. What better results and use? Now, I absolutely agree. And again, Marcus and I were having a conversation, and he came up with the idea of why don't we all do what they did basically to GameStop, is all collectively come up with a stock that we want to push and invest in. And then when it's time, you know what to do. I won't say it, but yeah, it's a good way of amassing some wealth for our people. Then, of course, like you said, find something to invest in, and don't just get the money out and then go put it right back. To actually do something with the money. So I actually really, really love that idea. And Miss K, you say it's so many different companies that foundational Black Americans can go after dealing with slavery, just like the Jewish people did. Whoever benefited from us being in slavery. Now think about T.I., right? What happened to T.I. recently? Now listen, I don't want to get into whether he's guilty or not. Good evening, Vicky. Whether he's guilty or not and all of that. But y'all remember T.I. started to turn over a new leaf. He started to talk about group economics and boycotting and shutting it down, suing Lloyd's of London. To your point, Lloyd's of London was very instrumental in the slave trade. They insured a lot of slave masters' property, which was us. And so, once he started talking like that, then all of a sudden, here come all of these allegations of sex trafficking and, all these other things. And, he's been silenced for now. Of course, now I know him and Tiny want to try to sort out what's going on and things like that, but their show has been canceled or taken off, suspended, I guess, if you will. And, so you're starting to see the fallout of that. But yeah, there's a lot of companies that are complicit in what was done to Black people in America. And Kevin says, and don't forget the Americans, that Americans give between $4 to $6 trillion per year in corporate welfare. Facts. Farmers get reparations for not growing too much of a given product. The math is easy. Getting Africans born in America to stand together for ourselves is an issue that we need our great minds to work on. Absolutely. I mean, we're at the point where we don't have a choice. We are out of time. We don't have a chance to time to be complacent with our position here in America in every way, shape, or form. We're just out of time, right? And so we've wasted so much time on putting our hopes into the institution of oppression. Malcolm also said, why would the same people who are oppressing you not oppress you? Why are you hoping that they're going to do differently, that they never have done differently? That's always been who they are, regardless of what they may say. You had a Joe Biden, who lied, for the whole time he's campaigning, and he's got into office and didn't do not nan thing specifically for Black people, still hasn't, probably won't. And do you guys also know that forgiving student loans is one of the major ways to help Black people, because Black people are indebted the most to student loans. But they also say not forgiving the student loans is also a form of racism. And you don't think Joe Biden knows that? Of course he knows that. He's not interested in helping Black people.
Right, but they come up with these bullshit narratives that say, well, that would be helping the super rich. Okay, I always talk about critical thinking. Right? I always say critical thinking. That's what I'm saying. We are so brain dead that we just listen to the soundbite and we go with it. Please, somebody out there that's watching this show now or later, email me and you tell me, how does a rich person qualify for student loans? Please. But even if they did, that group is so small. So what? The majority is what we're looking at, and that would help a lot of people. And it's like Demetra said, we are affected more so than anybody. You want to know why? Those civil rights geniuses said, y'all got to go to college and you're going to get a good job. That is such bullshit.
Well, it used to be the case. Now, not so much. You know, you could go to college and hell, but even back then, you didn't even need to go to college. A high school education was all you needed. Go get a job, good job at a factory somewhere, or, you know, anywhere for the most part. And, you know, make a really good living. But, you know, time to change, inflation to change. And, you know, hell, even with a master's degree, they want to pay you $15, $16, $17 an hour. It's like at the rate you paying me, I'd never pay the student loan off.
And that's another reason why Joe Biden does not want to forgive it. Because remember, he is owned by, he's owned by the banks. The banks depend on that interest. And the banks aren't going to go for it. Even though it's the right thing to do, they are not going to go for it. And then you have to look at it like this. I'm big into stocks, okay? I'm big into stocks. And some things that are happening out there, people be like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't do that. We need to boycott this. I almost guarantee if you look at your stock portfolio, you are part of the problem, because I bet you that company that you invested in has something to do with those banks. Like, I'm invested in a few banks. So I know forgiving the student loans would bring that stock of that bank down. But you know what? I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
Right. And let's see here. Sharon says, amen, Dimitri, you're spot on. You also say, who is doing the study so it reflects us? This is BS and y'all are right. What good are these Black elected officials if they don't do things that benefit our people? Exactly. You know, what good are they? They're not any good, you know, because they know that, as they say, we have amnesia. We'll forget all about what Joe Biden is not doing specifically for us. Then when it comes time again, of course, you know, I don't know if he'll run again. He'll be, you know, pretty up there. But anybody else who decides to run on the Democratic ticket, they'll do the same old song and dance, come to our churches, get Cardi B and all of them to come out and click your chucks and your pearls together and, you know, step and dance, step and fetch it in the voting, you know, lines and strolling to, they know all that stuff. We love it. And so they'll continue to do that. But you know, at some point in time, we just got to keep asking ourselves, all right, what good are they doing us? And if we keep getting the answer of, well, none, then it's time to switch up, right? And Donovan says, please check out Dimitri K on the African Diaspora News channel on YouTube for more insightful commentary. Absolutely. I'm a contributor, rather, over there on the African Diaspora News channel and African Diaspora News Insider, where we, just like we do here, talk about things that go on in the Black community, because, you know, mainstream media is not going to do that. Anytime you see Black people highlighted in mainstream media, it's not good, right? And so at Black media, we always like to talk about things. I don't want to say talk about all things that are good, because there's nothing's all good. There's all different aspects of us as people. But we want to, you know, do our best to talk about positivity and things like that, and just bring you stories that you wouldn't ordinarily hear about on the 6 o'clock news, right? And just really give it to you from a Black point of view. So yeah, check that out. And Rose, how are you? Says, one solution would be group investments that give us massive ownership in companies. We can treat it like they treat the collection plate at church. Yep. What better results to use? So no, absolutely. As Marcus was saying, we do need to look into investing our money in all one stock and getting that money out and then reinvesting it back into our community. That's actually a really, really, really good idea. And then you also say the reason you bring out Herschel Walker is because he's entertaining and in there for our, okay, yeah. So no, basically, yeah, it's the same thing Marcus saying, no, absolutely. And Tanaya, you say, honestly, we need to call out Biden, Kamala, and Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, and whoever is involved with this hearing. We are not going to, so we're not going to tolerate this BS. Walker, please, he's a distraction. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But they do need to be called out. And like I said, shame on them for giving us somebody like Herschel Walker to get up there and say, he basically said what Kamala and Biden said, that they don't see it being feasible. And as Kamala said, I'm not going to do something that's just only going to benefit Black people. No. And, you know, Joe Biden, of course, said he'd be damned if he's held responsible for something that his ancestors did. And so Herschel Walker just pretty much put the, you know, the amen on what they said. So it's like, to me, it's it's really insulting because they really think Black people are stupid. Like, oh, they're not going to connect the dots that we said no, and then we got this Negro to say no, and so it's baffling actually. And let's see here. Kevin says, imagine if you found a coin from 1860, $20 gold piece, then it is easy to give it a value. It says, ergo, reparations is an accounting issue. Watch how all Texans have to pay an equal amount for their upcoming electric bill. Biden should be told every day that he must sign an executive order relieving the student loans, or Africans born in America should let it be known that they will shift their political allegiance to the opposition party. Yep, exactly. Put our weight, behind our vote and say you need to do something for Black people. None of the shucking and jiving you doing, lying. We gonna see, we gonna study, and I know you're not gonna do none of that. You're not. So I agree with you. Put the pressure on him and Kamala and say, okay, you've gotten enough of our votes, and our support. Now you must deliver, or next time Trump, because Trump has said, and I said that, but people was like, I don't know about that. I told y'all Trump was going to try to come back, and he said, hell yeah, it's right for the picking for me to come back. Because you know why? Those Republicans who aren't really ready to denounce Trump yet, they see the missteps that the Democrats are doing. They see that Biden and Kamala are dropping the ball. They've pissed off everybody, Republicans and Democrats and everybody in between, really, by the $1,400 lie they told. Because remember, they said they was going to do the 2,000, then it's 1,400, and it still has not even begun to get into the mailboxes. So they see what's going on. And they also know that the midterm elections is, right around the corner, and they're going to end up dropping. They, being the Democrats, going to drop some of those seats, and they're going to do just exactly what Obama did in 2010 when he, let go of the House and the Senate, and his hands were pretty much tied for the most part.
Right. But sometimes I sit back and I look at what's going on, and I'm saying, do the Democrats really want to win the midterms? Because by losing the midterms, they'll do what Obama did. And now they'll just say, see, they're obstructing us. We can't get anything done because we lost the House. And you guys do not fall for it, because here's the thing. What's that dude that won in Georgia? The Black dude?
Ralph Warnock.
Yeah, Warnock. He's up for re-election next year. And
he's not for reparations.
Right. He's not for reparations.
Yeah.
And they didn't deliver the $2,000 checks. So you don't think it's not feasible that the Democrats will lose the House and the Senate? I think they're doing this stuff on purpose. And if they've been doing this is how they keep everybody at each other's throats. What we need to do, and I think this is a solution, is unify and make both of these parties pay by down balloting and not voting for either or. Because it's obvious neither one of these parties wants to do anything for us. So we need to start holding our vote and sit it out and let them figure it out, because it's bad enough that the Democrats are pushing other groups in front of us, even though we were the group that delivered the White House. I mean, Joe Biden in South Carolina, he was done. We bailed him out.
Absolutely. Hey, Charlie, what's going on? You say hello, Queen D and King D. What up? And Kevin says, exactly, do not be distracted. And Tanaya says, okay, at this point, the study has been a F minus. Yeah, I mean, right. It's like, come on. If anybody knows what was done to Black people, it's white people, because they was doing it. Okay, so they know. They don't need.
And they're still doing it.
Yeah, they don't need to study. They know exactly what's going on.
Did you guys hear that they just came out, and this is from the national security apparatus, the intelligence apparatus. They're saying that in these police departments, which Black people have been saying for years, the white supremacy has infiltrated just about every major police department in the United States. They're just finding this out, and we've given our intelligence groups trillions of dollars, and they're just figuring this out.
Like, who didn't already know that? And Miss Kay says, if we I think if we follow some of these people on social media, they should be called out. And I'm not just talking about politicians, but even the Black people who are against Black people. Yeah, especially the politicians, but as Marcus Garvey said, you're not going to be able to save everybody. Everybody don't want to come along. They just don't. There's some people who like the oppression and the slumber. They just like it. They don't see a problem, and we'll never be able to convince those. But the politicians that we send to office or who say they're going to represent, people, those are the ones that the pressure needs to be applied to. You don't get a pass. We're not going to wait and see. It's only been 30 days. Because when you got up there and told that lie, Joe Biden, you said immediately. But now you got Negroes. That's the part that kills me the most. Negroes that'll fight harder for massa than he'll fight for himself. Well, it's only been 30 days. You got to wait and see. But no.
Trump got those $600 checks out quick.
Yeah, but your massa said immediately. He said immediately. And here you are talking about, now, sir. He said, it's only been 30 days. We got to give him some chance to show what he's going to do for. No, because he said immediately. So we want to hold him at his word, right? Among other things. And Kevin says, well, after 25 years in the criminal justice system, one of the biggest, most sacred aspects of sentencing is making the criminal pay restitution. Yeah. You guys heard of the story of the older gentleman who did 68 years in prison for something he didn't do. He was the longest serving juvenile lifer in American history. At the age of 83, he was finally released from prison. Now, he could have gotten out a lot. Well, he could have applied in the 70s, but something that I don't think he maybe knew all the ins and outs. But in 2017 or something like that, or 2011, he could have got out under parole, but mind you, he had already been in prison almost 70 years. And he says, no, I do not want to parole out because then I would still have to be on parole. I have to answer to my parole officer. I can't do this. I can't leave. I can't do that. Plus, I'm going to have to pay for the rest of his life. And so he says, if I'm going to be free, I want to completely be free. I don't want to be tied to the system any longer. I've given you enough of my life. And so 68 years later, the longest serving juvenile lifer has been freed. Isn't that just awful?
Totally disgusting. And you did a clip on that on the African Diaspora News Channel. I saw that, but that was very good, by the way. But thank God he wasn't under a Kamala Harris jurisdiction, because he could be totally innocent and still be sitting his ass in jail.
Right. What's happening, Jonelle? What's going on with you? And Charlie says Malcolm X 56 years later, and Christian Black Americans are the same, still voting for color, and all the Black politicians, elected officials are doing nothing for Black people because they are brought by the lobbyists. Of course, they grease their pockets nicely. They get so much money to sell their own people out and get up there and say, oh, come on now, you got to vote for old Joe. Joe's been good to us. He's been good to the peoples. So when you go to the booth, make sure you give them your vote now. Show your appreciation, and that's what they do. And they get something, but we don't get anything, for helping them get something, right?
Generation fail. A prime example of generation fail. They took the baton, got their jobs, got their federal jobs, pulled the ladder up, and then told you, fend for yourself and get out there and do what I did. You got examples where people are in positions right now, let's say in the federal government, no college education. So they got in on a high school education, right? Or a GED or whatever. That same position now, if it hadn't been automated, you need a bachelor's degree or better to occupy that position. This is the kind of shit that they do. Another good example, Social Security. Notice generation fail is always about their Social Security. And oh no, y'all can't cut our Social Security. Oh, the next generation after us? Oh yeah, go ahead and cut theirs, but you don't touch ours. So if you're not going to look out for me, why the hell should I look out for you?
Right. And Jonelle says, our future and salvation is in what we do for ourselves as a people. We must awaken from the pimping and whitewash and do for self on all levels or else. Absolutely. And Jonelle, we are actually taking some excerpts from the Message to the Black Man in America just talking about Malcolm and some of the things that he would have wanted us to do in regards to, economics and doing for self, right? And Terrence, how are you? You say Black folks are brainwashed. I think it is. It's an emoji. No, absolutely. We need to undo that. And Marcus says, Black people don't even realize our inability to unite in America makes us look foolish and weak to the African as outside of America, as we are the most powerful generation of ourselves. Yeah, I would say that's true. But then, if you know anything about what's going on in Africa, we can also say the same thing for how they've allowed, others to come in and pretty much do to them what has been done to us, right? In reverse. So,
yeah, right now in Nigeria, you have a lot of these Nigerians that come here and, and have you guys noticed this? And I'm just saying that in the Nigerians and Africans that I've come across, they're the quick to say, how great their country is and what's wrong with us here. And again, it ain't like they don't love us over there. And we have a good love thing. But if what is going on so good over there, why are you here? Why are they here is because you got Asians and you've got white people controlling all the resources over there, which is pretty much what goes on right here. But yet they come here, take advantage of the programs that we have, and then they make their own communities and do, stuff that we should be doing for ourselves. And which again, civil rights era folks, we had our own businesses. Who taught us to go spend our money with the white man? Oh, that was the civil rights era people. So.
Right. And Terrence says, nailed it. And Andrea, how are you? Says, Trump didn't need 30 days. He started crafting legislation immediately. Biden did as well, just not for us. Yep. But as people make excuses for him. Oh, he just got in there. But damn, was it the same day he had a whole stack of executive orders that he didn't hesitate, signing? And
Day one.
Yeah. So, it is what it is, right? And Jonelle says, we have various examples of our own Black sovereignty giving us empowerment beyond colonizers past and present. We can no longer afford to be Lazarus waiting on the breadcrumbs to come from a colonizer's table that no longer afford breadcrumbs to drop. Revelations 18:4.
Exactly. And that's another solution. Do for self. We have to stop realizing that nobody's coming to save us. We need to start doing for ourselves, period. Stop electing these people that we're not going to hold them accountable. We're going to hold him accountable when he gets in office. How do you do that? So he's been in there 30 days. Okay, Dimitri, he's been in there 30. That's not long enough. Is 6 months long enough? Is a year long enough? How about 3 years? Oh, it's 4 years. He's up for re-election again. Oh, well, he's only been in there 4 years. When is the time zone? That's what I'm saying. It's like if we don't start demanding now what we need, when do you think they're going to get to it?
No, absolutely. And Miss K say, right. And Todd, how you doing? He says, we in the Nation of Islam knew along the government. I think he meant knew all along. I think he meant the government, the police, and the FBI were responsible for Malcolm's death. But the average handkerchief head Negro believed that misinformation white folks put out that Farrakhan of the nation had something to do with it, of course. So I said, Hollywood told them something different, and they went along with that. I can't tell you how many people in the last day since the revelation that of Reggie Wood, the cousin of Ray Woods, who was the FBI informant, since he made that revelation, people said, well, you got to go see the Netflix series. Go see what they talked about on Netflix about Malcolm X. Oh, they was telling it, the truth. And I'm like, y'all talking about the same Hollywood that told you Cleopatra was white too, huh? That Hollywood? Come on, man. Are you serious? Then some Negro had the nerve to tell me, I heard a rumor in the neighborhood. I said, now you listening to rumors? I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? It don't seem like y'all should be even fit to even have this conversation talking about you heard some doggone rumors. My God. And Charlie says, amen, Sister Demetria. Okay, we all know and knew that white supremacy has penetrated every state and office in the U.S. We don't need any studies to know white supremacy. Okay. What do we need to know that we don't already?
Yeah, I agree with you, Charlie, but I'm gonna have to correct you just a little bit there. Okay, you said that it penetrated every state. This country was founded on white supremacy, so it doesn't penetrate. It's already there. It is.
Well, yeah, I think he meant, in regards to, especially holding down Black people. Absolutely.
There's been a narrative that the rise of white supremacy, and I've been correcting people all the time. This country was founded on white supremacy. There is no rise. It is.
Right. And Randall says, hi, everyone. And hello, by the way. He says, I think about this Malcolm's bodyguard was a COINTELPRO agent, but guess who assigned that bodyguard to him? Yeah, it was that of Ray Woods, per the revelation. He was an FBI informant, never had any training or anything like that. It was assigned to go in and dilapidate Black organizations and take down their leaders. And so he admitted to being instrumental in the murder of Malcolm X. So I guess more will be to come. But yesterday was really one of those like, wow days, like, whoa, it was a deathbed confession for the most part, even though he didn't die until 10 years or so after he confessed it. But, it was interesting nevertheless, right? And Marcus says, I totally disagree with the African-American and African relationship and understanding. They are a very massively enslaved people who to this day remain enslaved. We are a date today, financially free people who refuse to unite our finances to give us power. There is a big difference in the average African and the average African American. I honestly don't see a big difference. The only difference that I do see is that they are unified because they are amongst themselves. And, just going over there to South Africa, of course, there being 90%, of the population, obviously in their own country, it still remains the fact that they own less than 10% of the wealth. The 10%, which are the others, they own roughly 80-ish, 90% of the wealth. And so it is kind of the same situation, even though they're more population, they kind of have no choice but to be unified because there's more of them. So of course, but unfortunately, a lot of places in Africa, they have given over. I mean, hell, the ANC has a Chinese woman sitting in the parliament. How did that happen? And how many Black people are sitting in the parliament or whatever they got in China?
But I agree with Marcus as in financial. Like you always say, Demetra, $1.73 trillion goes through our hands every year, and we have nothing to show for it. So economically, we are different when it comes to the money. We have the money, and we just trick it off. And as far as the being over there in Africa, when we were over there, guys got to understand this. They practice tribalism. Okay, so they're among their people, and they all are part of different tribes. And so, and of course, if you're let's say you're an African politician, and it happens all the time, you see it on all these warlords and stuff. Who in the warlord's cabinet gets all the jobs? Their tribe. They don't give a damn about anybody else but their tribe. If we would start adopting that kind of attitude, maybe things would be a little bit better for us, because here as ADOS or fundamental Blacks, we're a tribe within ourselves, period. I mean, and like I said, yeah, you have Africans, you have Caribbean and people from the wherever they're from. They got Black skin like us. And, if you want to support us, please start the Friends of the African-American Negro group. And, and we'll accept your support, but we don't want you to join us because we have to solve our own problems. Because when it comes down to it, if we tried to join you guys, the first thing's going to come out of your mouth, we're not Ibu, we're not this tribe, we're not Jamaican, we're not, you know what I mean? And that's just the way it has to be. And unfortunately, I think, we should be that, because nobody's going to save us.
Right. And let's see. Kevin says, and to piggyback off of Donovan, Biden/Harris has gone from doing the right thing, even if alone, to integrationist. And you see what happens when people do that. I don't think Biden and Harris has ever tried to do the right thing, especially by us. They've tried to do the right thing by everybody else, but by us, they've never tried, never even really said it. They did a lot of tap dancing around it, this lift every voice thing that it includes everybody else, right? But yeah, they're absolutely integrationist, but that doesn't really include us. And Todd says, great point, Donovan. No one is coming to save us. Absolutely no one but us. And Andrew, you say truth. And Jonelle says, Judas and the Black Messiah hasn't stopped. COINTELPRO hasn't stopped. The media tactics of Willie Lynch has not stopped. All the same methods to our Black demise have been upgraded and aimed at us. At best, majority of us are oblivious to the game and methods given to us, subjected and regulated to the benefit of white sovereignty. Yep. Hey, love, I won. I hope I said that right. I say love. I say Ashe it to you as well. And Kevin says, absolutely right. And that's why I can't stop standing for our people. Me either. And Marcus says, and she even far to state how embarrassing we are to outside of America. The greatest boycott we can ever put on is to simply keep our black, let me see. Oops, where'd it go? Our dollars in our pocket and strategically shop. But we fail to see the power in that and the willpower to do that. Yeah, we got to possess the willpower to do that by all costs. And you also say
discipline, not the will, the discipline to do it.
Discipline. And Marcus, you also say, was just thinking about the Judas and the Black Messiah title and how catastrophic it is within the Black community as to how we protect each other. We must remember it was Malcolm's who took him down on the white man say so. And then Kevin says, wow, it's funny that you say that, Donovan. It is the language of Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 that demands reparations for Africans born in America be paid. Yep. General Sherman said, hey, run them their money. And then, Andrew Johnson said, not so fast. And let's see this. And love, you say, our condition is identical worldwide. We are the most hated, impoverished, imprisoned, and persecuted people under the sun. Yep, all day long. And Todd says, in this day and age, Black people don't have to talk bad about white people because white folks' history talk bad about themselves when it comes to killing innocent people or infiltrating Black freedom groups and even past and present vaccines. They have a poor track record for honesty. Yep. And Jonelle says, we have been the only nation of people looking to and dependent on our colonizers for our representation with the lack of vision beyond our colonizers due to miseducation. Miseducation is rape. We have a struggle to separate from the whitewash and be truly, fully, completely free, liberated minds doing liberated things. Yep. And Charlie says, Malcolm X, his adopted brand of activism, was decidedly at odds with America's civil rights icon, Martin Luther King Jr., who followed the pacifist protest ideology of India's Mahatma Gandhi, who didn't like Black people, by the way. By contrast, Malcolm advocated self-defense and separation from the white man. We got to have our own real Black American Power X Panther Freedom Party. I like that. Yep, we need to roll it all into one because they were all on the same page. We know the Black Panthers modeled their ideology, everything after that of Malcolm X. And of course, Malcolm X's father being a Garveyite followed the movement of Marcus Garvey and the UNIA. So absolutely roll them all together. Tanaya says, Demetra, did you see the speech the president of Ghana gave in front of Prime Minister of Macron of France that made him uncomfortable? I can't recall if I've seen it. It doesn't sound familiar. Oh, wait. I think I did. It was a while back, right? I think I did see that. Maybe I did. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But if you can put a link in there, I'd love to look at it. And Kevin says, it gives certain Africans born in America that tribalisms, those who descendants were enslaved, that tribe, quote unquote, is unique to our people. And Ms. K says, Malcolm stayed on code when the FBI was trying to get him to go against Elijah Muhammad. Yes, he did. He never did turn on him. And love, you say, we do belong to tribes. We just have to find out through our African ancestry. However, tribes are decisive and cause problems in our unification. So I mean, like divisive. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, there's no doubt we are part of tribes. You can go to that ancestry all you want. Go over to Africa and say, I'm this tribe. They're going to look at you and laugh at you because we are so far removed from it. But I know what you're saying. But when you go over there and you try that, see how they welcome you into the tribe with open arms. They won't. Yep.
And Jonelle says, we must birth the liberated mind. We must awaken the God within ourselves and come back to our self-empowerment. Our root issue is ourselves. It's beyond time to stop being this white nation's Frankenstein. Even Frankenstein woke up to the game and wreaked havoc, okay? He was like, I don't think so, okay? He had him on the run. And Marcus says, just to toss an idea out there, this platform can start a campaign now to grow Black investment and massive ownership in one major American stock controlled by us with 5 to 10 people committed. Yeah. So I like that idea. Marcus, you and I Donovan need to really draw up something simple, because we know when it's too arduous, we like tune out, right? And I'm that way too. If it's something too hard to follow, I'm like, I am that way. And so we need to make it simple so that everybody can follow and get in on, especially something like the stock market, and get some money out and, and build with it, because you can make money in the stock market. Many of us on here has done that. And Todd says, Thomas Jefferson said, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just. That is his justice cannot sleep forever. Basically saying, hey, you know what? We know we're going to get ours. All the horror that we've exacted upon people, especially Black people, there's no way that's going to go unpunished. I mean, if you believe in laws in the universe, karma, God, whatever system you believe in, they all say you reap what you sow. It's a fact. So eventually it is, and as Farrakhan always says, and has said for a very long time, watch the weather. And look at this craziness. I mean, look what we went through in Texas. It's like snow.
And we talk about, we talk about third world countries. When will you guys realize you are living in a third world country? You're living in one.
For real. Look how what the people are going through.
Yep. And then you got to think about this. The military is estimated to be 2 million people, 2 million active duty military. 40% of those people are overseas somewhere, right? You got the Guard and reserves, but that encompasses Black people as well. 46 million Black people. If we started pitching a bitch, they don't even have the resources to stop us. I'm just saying. Yep.
And Jonelle says Revelation 18:4, which I'm paraphrasing, means come out from among her, be ye separate. I know that's a different scripture, but it kind of sounds something like that. But no, absolutely. And so, we were going over that, the message to the Black man in America, of course. We didn't get to it as far as the economic plan. There's an economic plan 1 and 2 in here. And we got through some of it. But like I said, Marcus and I, we were having a discussion on, just really coming up with some solutions. And so I thought, in honor of Malcolm X, we would talk about some of those solutions in helping us move forward as a Black people, because we could talk all day long and get riled up and, spew knowledge and stuff. But if we don't have an action and a follow through to actually make it happen, then it really is just talking. These words in this book and the words that Malcolm spoke, they never leave the page and they never leave the video to which we watch. They just are something that we are, we fantasize about. So we as Black people really need to stop living a fantasy of, what could be, and actually just do it. Our ancestors before us did it. There's no reason why we can't do it. But, we get wrapped up into the false hopes of the Democrats. And, I know it might offend some people, but Christianity and, wait on God, wait on Jesus, and, wait for, as Reverend Ike said, a man in the sky. You believe in a God in the sky, but you don't believe in yourself. And that's really our problem as Black people. We don't believe in ourselves. We believe in everybody else but ourselves. We believe that a white man in the White House is going to save our Black selves. That's not going to happen. It's never happened. Even some people say, well, Roosevelt, he came with the New Deal and that helped Black people. And Lyndon Baines Johnson, his, I forget the name of the plan, but it was for Black people. But look at the state of Black people. Joe Biden with his lift every voice, that's supposed to be for Black people. And yet Black people our condition has not changed. Just so the point is, nobody in that White House is going to save us. Not even the man who was supposed to be our great savior, Barack Obama. In fact, things got worse for Black people under the presidency of Barack Obama. So all we have is us. And the minute we start believing in ourselves, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah, Barack Obama said openly, I don't believe in reparations. So don't expect nothing out of me. I mean, here's a black man that's saying this, okay? But, we really, really have to start doing stuff for ourselves, because it is now at a point. I just don't understand you Biden supporters. The man says what he means, and he means what he says. When he talks about the middle class, that he ain't talking to the majority of Black people. 70% of our people, 46 million people, 70% of them live at the poverty line, below the poverty line, or near the poverty line. So he's not talking about us when he talks about rebuilding the middle class. All these jobs that were lost, that's us. That's us. We're at the bottom. Are they going to ask us to come back? No, they're automating these warehouses and all this bullshit right now. So what are we going to do? At this point, we have nothing to lose but to unite. At this point, in my opinion, I have nothing to lose but to unite and do this and do that, and and take my chances, because the people that I elect, they ain't looking out for me. They're looking out for themselves and their families. So why shouldn't we do the same?
Yep, we have nothing to lose but our chains. And I believe that was Asada Shakur who said that. And let's see here. Charlie says Mahatma Gandhi disliked African people. Hint at Kamala is Indian, Indian American. That's what she is. But don't tell the Obama and Oprah followers. Head in the sand. Yeah, he called us. What did he call us? Oh, I forget what it is. He called us.
Negro.
Yeah, but some term in India that meant that, for a lack of better words. But yeah, so yeah.
In South Africa, we were passing by the law offices, and they have a statue of Mahatma Gandhi down there, because when he started his law practice, he would represent
Gandhi Square. Yeah, it's called Gandhi Square. And I'm gonna read the last comments as we head on out of here. And Miss K says facts, they don't. Black first family. And Marcus says, I am ready, willing, and able to accept to come up with something. There are massive benefits to making a group investment in an organized way. The financial resources alone would allow us to build and rebuild for our own. Let's do it. And Love says Malcolm X was connecting and building bridges with African leaders because he knew our lives depended on united African economies globally. Yeah, he was a Black nationalist, Pan-Africanist, if you will, uniting the diaspora. And, we really should be on that page. I know a lot of times we see divisiveness going on in our community. Oh, I'm this Black, I'm that Black, and, but we all are Black people around the world and should be trying to unite, like, Muammar Gaddafi was trying to do before Barack Obama and them took him out. He was trying to unite the diaspora too. So that's really the page we should be on. And leather and luxury cars. You said, you better speak. All right. Now, and how you doing, by the way? And Marcus says, I would even ask Donovan to look and see what the value of 1 million shares owned and by Apple would be worth.
Almost $30 million, if not a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm. And Donell says our solutions are using our economic empowerment towards our own production on all levels and becoming knowledgeable. We have the God-given abilities to use our intelligence to extract all that we need for our own Black sovereignty. Yep. And Carmen says we have no allies. We are on our own. Absolutely. And Jonelle says a slave is something made to serve a purpose God didn't intend. Quote the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Yep. And Savior's Day is coming up this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you guys, it'll be virtual. I know I'll post the link. I will be watching. And Carmen says, first we need to get rid of these so-called civil rights leaders, quote unquote. Yep. That dinosaurs, they need to be put out the pasture as lovingly as possible. And Todd says, great point, Sister Demetra. Black people need to just get out there and just do it. There is a saying, if you are not trained and study like you should, somebody somewhere is training and studying. And when you meet them, they will win all the time. That's why it's so important to read and study and just be knowledgeable. Because there's a lot of people we see, especially on the internet, just spouting all kind of ignorance. And just like, Lord have mercy. Like, where did you get that from? Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. And Todd, you bring up a great point. Two of the greatest tennis players of all times, coach was never played tennis. Serena and the Williams sisters. Their dad never played tennis, but he coached them and went out there and just went and did it from a book, reading and having them train and regimen and stuff. And Demetra will tell you, when she was here in California, when those girls were little, you could go down to Compton where they live and you would see them at the community park practicing.
Yep. Sure did. And Serena is, the best athlete ever to walk planet Earth. I don't care what nobody say. The best to ever do it in any arena. And that is accredited to a Black man, which, they never really talk about Richard Williams much, but we know he was behind it.
yeah. Wait, I'm gonna give you guys a quick thing because I know we got to get out of here, but real quick, this is how he motivated his daughters when they were playing, they first started. Watch me, you guys. Don't you let that white bitch beat you.
Oh, you know what? Stop it. Carmen says exactly. And Love says we must do business with our own in London, Africa, etc. This is how we can begin to build each other up, because until we have successful African nations, we won't be successful anywhere in the world. Facts. And then Charlie, you post a link. Was Mahatma Gandhi a racist? And so we will check that out. And Jonelle says we can no longer afford to be slave-minded, lost in upgraded slave-mindedness. We must build our own and support our own, donate to our own, empower our own as intelligent others and animals, insects, fish, and etc. is doing. We got to be true to the nature of self-preservation. And speaking of which, if you guys want to, there's a Cash App there to help support the show. It would be lovely. If not, I appreciate it either way. And Jonelle, I'll put your link up here. It says visit store.finalcall.com, visit NOI.org. Webcast Saviors Day is this weekend. Tune in to Final Call Radio via finalcall.com. So yes.
Real quick. The NOI, the Nation of Islam, as technology has changed, they've evolved with it. Black-owned business. They're giving us the blueprint. Like, if they can do it, anybody can do it. Because, like I said, I'm not saying that they still don't do it, but out here, you don't see too many brothers selling, the Final Call on the corners. Demetra's dad still does it, but you know what I mean? They've gone technical and they're staying relevant and showing you got to expand your business and, grow your business and change with the times. And the NOI does that. That's the prime example of staying relevant and staying, your business and staying the course.
Absolutely. But they do be out there though. They be out there. You just got to be in the right spot. But they be out there selling those newspapers and the bean pies. Okay.
Yeah. Demetra's dad be out there in the summertime in a 3-piece suit doing it.
Listen, my dad, I think it was 1963, was the number 2 newspaper salesman in the nation. And he got to sit or stand post on the stage with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan. I have the picture. I posted it many times, but that's how much of a gangster my daddy was and he is, okay? And Carmen says, laugh my ass off. And Jonelle says, peace. Marcus says, we have to preach the power of being retail investors. Many do not see the gift that has been handed to us on a silver platter. Yep. And Carmen says, what is Savior's Day? Savior's Day is the day that Master Farad Muhammad came along and gave the message, if you will. And so it is commemorated in February. Every year, normally, there would be a convention and all that, but the Rona said differently. And so it is going virtual, for lack of better words. And that's when, if we are lucky, we get to hear the Honorable Louis Farrakhan deliver the Savior's Day address. And so normally it's like a 3-4 day event where everybody goes out and they see the step shows, the drill teams and all of that. And, they just do little breakout sessions and just experience being together in the nation. And so for lack of better words, that's what it is. Yeah,
it's kind of like the State of the Union address in the United States, but on a better scale, kind of telling you where Black people are, where we're going, and what they've been doing. So it's kind of like the State of the State address.
Mm-hmm. And Arson says Canada. Yes, you're from Canada. What about it? And Carmen says, gotta just Google it. Okay, good. And Todd says, the Nation of Islam believes in quick thinking, fast moving, right on down to the modern day times. That is our motto. Yep, keep relevant. Hey, Latanya, what's going on? You said, you guys are amazing. Thanks for speaking truth to power. Free the weed in Texas. No, thank you. You are amazing. And Latanya is on a mission to make marijuana legal in Texas. And Jason, how are you? Says in Houston, on between Scott and Ost, I think that is, or OST, they be giving out those bean pies and newspapers. See, that's what I'm saying. Donovan got to be in the right spot at the right time. Jonelle says, my dad, that's right, my daddy. I always say that, my daddy. I'll be like, you and your daddy. And Carmen says, we'll definitely tune in. Yes, you will not be disappointed, I promise. And Arthur says, sorry about before, meant to say about Cash App. Unfortunately, we don't have it out here. But so love you guys and your show. So amazing. And thank you, Arson, for being here. But anyway,
wait. Arson's in Canada. He getting that free money every month. So we know he got the money.
Right. Y'all getting that good coronavirus stipend out there. So anyway, you guys, I took Donovan off the screen. Wait, hold on. I didn't mean to take Donovan off. I actually meant to, sorry. I know I treat you bad sometimes. I meant to put that up. That is, hold on, let me remove this just really quick. It's a Black-owned toothpaste, you guys. Black-owned toothpaste company. If you guys are interested in shopping Black and buying Black-owned toothpaste, the name of the company is Prodent Max. All natural, healthy, whitening, organic, simple, and you don't need a lot to brush your teeth. And I put a link in both the description box on YouTube and pinned it in the comment section on Facebook if you guys are interested in buying some natural Black-owned toothpaste without all the chemicals and all of that. So you guys have been lovely. Thank you so much for being here with us on this fine Sunday. I know you could have been doing everything else, but you decided to spend a little bit of time here with us. And Lone Vui says, I love watching you all and lessons you speak, your mind, my family, us, all of us are Black. Absolutely. How are you today? And Charlie says, Savior's Day is a holiday for the Nation of Islam, commemorating the birth of its founder, Master Farad Muhammad, officially stated to be February 26, 1877. It was established by Elijah Muhammad. Yes, indeed. So thank you for that. We will see you guys tomorrow on the War Zone, where we talk about any and everything with Mr. Gary Monroe. Do not miss that. And thank you guys, YouTube and Facebook, for being the other side of the conversation. You guys make this so much fun. Thank you, Donovan, for sitting in as a co-host, and Marcus Guyton for everything that you do behind the scenes and making the show go further. And if you shared the show, thank you so much for doing your part as well. And so we will see you guys tomorrow. You guys stay safe and be good. Peace.